Hello, everyone, and welcome to Super Podcast Action Committee, episode 54. I got up before noon for this. I hope you're satisfied. Not that it makes a big difference to anyone listening, because it's probably Monday afternoon by the time you hear this, so it doesn't really matter what time I got up. But I thought I was going to be doing something today, and so it's like 11 a.m., and I email Zachary, and I'm saying, okay, it's a little after 1 your time. Anytime you're ready, hop on Skype, because I want to get this done so I have the afternoon free to do what I was doing. And right before I hit send, my friend emails me and says, let's shoot for next Saturday, because I'm feeling all lazy, and I just want to stay home and bake and stuff. And I'm like, all right, that works for me. So I rewrite my email to Zachary saying, whenever you're ready, no rush, I've got the day free. So, and then he calls me on Skype and is like, hello, anyone there? Because I totally forgot to plug in my microphone. So that's my Sunday so far. So with me is Zachary Knight. Hi, Zachary, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm okay. I had, in the poll article this week, I had a really dumb joke, as I normally do, saying that we may even share the greatest banana bread recipe the world has ever known. Well, we're not going to do that. I have a banana bread recipe, but I wouldn't say it's the greatest. However, I did pick up a pancake recipe that I tried this morning, and it's good, but it's really weird, so I shall share it with you now.
All right.
Take 2 large bananas, mash them in a bowl, add 3 eggs, raw eggs, please, because the hard-boiled egg, this is just going to be weird. 3 raw eggs and 2 eggs worth of egg whites. You can either use actual raw eggs or use a container of egg white. Gives you a nice extra protein there. Stir it all together, and that's it. That's your pancake batter. This yields a very, very flat pancake. It has no volume. It actually cooks up and looks like a very ripe banana peel, because it turns that very banana ripe brown. And they're very flat. They almost come out like really flat crepes or something. But they're really tasty. Put some organic raw maple syrup on there, and you got yourself a breakfast. Lots of good protein. Got some potassium and natural sugars from the bananas. It's good. Try it. You got to be careful on the griddle though, because make sure you've got that sucker at least at 350, because otherwise your batter's just going to leak all over the place. Doesn't make perfectly round, fluffy pancakes. I might try a 3rd banana or just bigger bananas next time, because my bananas were kind of medium-sized. But there you go. Some really good protein pancakes for you. All natural ingredients, really tasty, really easy to make. So
Sounds less pancake and more eggs with bananas in them.
Yeah, or a banana egg thing.
Yeah.
If you have, I'm sure you could trick your children. Try. It's like here you go, Susie. Pancakes. She'd probably look at you going, "Who are you trying to kid? That's not a pancake."
I don't know. My kids love eggs anyway, so we'll make scrambled eggs and they'll eat them all up. It's like we've got. Let's see. I got to count my kids in my head now.
5.
There are 4 kids that eat eggs, that are old enough to eat eggs, and so between my wife and I and the 4 kids, we usually go through about a dozen eggs every time we want to cook scrambled eggs for breakfast, and we always have to partner it up with other stuff too, because they'll go through all those eggs really quick. But so we never have any problems getting.
Yeah, I go through eggs like nobody's business too. I buy the I think it's like a 5 dozen egg big crate thing that's wrapped in plastic that you can get at Vaughn's. I think it's 5 dozen, and it's fairly reasonably priced, because otherwise you try and buy them by the dozen or 18 count, and boy, eggs are expensive. It's like, chickens are not endangered. Why are these so expensive? You know, it's like
Yeah.
gallons of milk. If you buy milk, I mean, that stuff's more expensive than gas. Well, actually, not in California. Milk is cheaper than gas.
Yeah, yeah. Milk is pretty expensive, and eggs aren't too bad, you know, as long as you're getting the cheap ones. But I think maybe I don't know how much they are when we buy them, but we usually get quite a bit of them. We get like the 2.5 dozen boxes of them. And so yeah, we get plenty of eggs when we get them, and they're not too bad.
Yeah. At my work, we got an email Thursday or Friday from the person who manages all the fleet stuff, and every month they take the national average for gas price and calculate out how much mileage our drivers get. Which has nothing to do with me because I sit in an office. I don't get paid to drive anywhere unless I have to go and make sure some account's not failing. But other than that, yeah. And the national average, he goes, is like 361. So we're paying this many cents a mile, and I'm sitting there at my computer. I'm like, ha! I wish I was paying 361 for gas. I don't know what it is in Oklahoma, but here in Southern California, gas is over $4.
Yeah, about 360 is where we're at right now.
Oh, so you're about at the average.
It was almost to $4, and there in the middle of May, and then it started going down towards the end of May. So we're back down to where we've been for a while now. But not the cheapest it's been ever, But yeah.
It always weirds me out that the major areas are more expensive, and that out where my mom is, I mean, they've got to get a tanker truck to drive all the way out into the middle of nowhere to fill out this gas station that only several hundred people patron, and their gas is 60 cents cheaper. But I guess the higher demand jacks up the price. So. Okay, maybe we should talk something along the lines of video games. We may have lost our entire audience here. But,
well, video game wise, I've got the house to myself for a few days at least, and so I had all day yesterday, and decided to just watch Netflix and play video games all day, and I ended up I played I bought the latest two Humble Bundles, so Humble Bundle 8 and the Double Fine Bundle, and I haven't played a lot of games off of those two yet, and I'm sad. But I played Awesome Knots for a little bit, and because I like Ronimo, because I played Swords and Soldiers a while back and really loved it. It was a lot of fun, and so they had Awesome Knots on there, and so I was like, "Yep, this is the game that's making me buy this bundle." And so
it's
I played
awesome.
that. It is. It is. It's a lot of fun, and so it kind of it's kind of a mix between tower defense and maybe a little bit of Defense of the Ancients in there, but and so in the nature of it, but it's all side scroller, and so so you play a hero, and you've got these little buddies being churned out by a machine or whatever to kind of help you destroy things, and so it's kind of a Defense of the Ancients type thing, but still a lot of fun. But I only played that for about half an hour or so because I kept getting distracted by other things. And then last night I ended up playing Valkyria Chronicles for about 6 hours. I finally got a PS3 a few weeks ago, a new one, and I was like, I have time. I have nobody here to bug me and take away the video games, so I'm going to play.
Awesome as it looks.
Oh, Valkyria Chronicles is a very, very fun game, and I picked up where I left off because I backed up my system before returning the old one, and so I was able to get all my save files and stuff. So I played and played and realized I looked down at my phone, realized it was 12:30, and I was like, I've got church in the morning. I better go to bed. And so I had a ton of fun with that. It's a great game. I really wish the sequels weren't on the PSP and Vita, because I want to play those, but I'm still enjoying it, and I still have tons of games to play on other systems and on the PS3 itself anyway, so it's not like I'm hurting for any games to play. So yeah, yesterday I pretty much just games, made up for like 2 months of not being able to play very many games. So what games have you been playing?
Well, I finished Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, although you could say you never finish Monster Hunter, you only stop playing. But I'm done with offline, so I mean, I could spend time, making complete weapon sets out of, building all of the weapons and armors possible, but I have no interest in doing that. I put 177 hours into the game, I think, and plus however many hours, nearly 1,600 edits on IGN's wiki took. And in fact, the guide was so complicated and large that I actually ended up writing a guide to the guide on my blog. So, check my Twitter, check if you know where if you look at my YouTube channel, the main page of my YouTube channel, there's a link to my blog. So go check it out. It's a guide to IGN's Monster Hunter 3 wiki guide, and it just points out all the unique features of the guide that I'm very proud of. Because I wrote the guide thinking, I'm like, well, there are already wiki guides and stuff for Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate out there that give you the exact percentages for, item drops. So what can I do? Why would you come to IGN to read this guide? So I came up with what I hope are some very unique and helpful ways of presenting information that is unique to IGN and attract some attention. It's been getting some a lot of great compliments and a lot of great comments, so I think I did a good job. And Mark Ryan, damn it, Sam. Mark Ryan hasn't been my boss for like 2 years now. It's Sam. For some reason, it's probably E3. I now have to do the last half of Metro Last Light because I think Bob was working on it, and they're all buckling down with E3, which is coming up in a few weeks. And they're like, Andrew, can you finish Metro Last Light? We're busy. I'm like, all right. So I had to make sure my PC could run it first, but should be okay. But since Monster Hunter, I've been playing Lego City Undercover. And one thing I just noticed is Legos. It used to be called Lego City Stories. Now it's Lego City Undercover. And I'm wondering, you have New Super Mario Brothers U, Zombie U, Wii Fit U, eventually. Need for Speed Most Wanted U. And I'm thinking, Lego City U? Is that why they changed it to Undercover, to make it a Lego City U type of thing?
I don't know.
Is that the reason it's Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate for the U? For some reason that just occurred to me the other day. I'm like, I think
maybe
it's like with a lot of DS games back in the day. You'd have a lot of subtitles with the initials DS, like Advanced Wars Dual Strike and things like that. Maybe we're seeing the same thing with the Wii U. You're just going to get a lot of titles that end in some type of U word.
Yeah, they don't want to be
Assassin's Creed, Umbrella.
Yeah, they don't want to be blatant about the whole U thing, and so yeah, they're doing something different that still gets the U. But yeah, that's one of the things that annoyed me about the Wii. How everything was something Wii, or and it just drove me nuts. And
at least the GameCube didn't do that, but the Super NES did that. You had Super this, Super that. The Nintendo 64 did that. You had Mario 64 and this 64,
Superman
that
64.
Oh, thank you for reminding us. But the GameCube was blissfully free from that. You didn't have any Mario GameCube. You just had Super Mario Sunshine, which was kind of weird, but I still thought it was a great game. But yeah, Lego City Undercover, I'm loving it. Except when it says it's time to stop playing by completely locking up, which it's done I think 3 times now.
Is that a bug or?
It hasn't happened in the same place. It's that hard freeze where it stops and gives that high-pitched whine, and you have to pull the power from your console.
Ugh.
Yeah. I had that happen once in Zombie U in the middle of a survival run, the one where you play the entire game without getting killed. And I was like halfway through, and it does that, and I've never had any desire to try it again because I was so pissed off.
I wonder if there's some kind of memory leak or something, because that's...
I don't know.
Because that just seems kind of a crazy thing to happen in a video game.
Yeah, so... But the other thing with Lego City Undercover, and we're gonna start the show here any minute now, folks. Don't you worry. Is it keeps unlocking character. In the Lego Harry Potter, it unlocks the kids from the school and characters from the Harry Potter universe. In Lego Star Wars, it unlocks Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt. Well, I don't think Jabba the Hutt's ever been a playable character in Lego.
No, I don't think so.
Awesome.
That would be cool.
But in Lego City Undercover, you keep unlocking Harry Johnson. Oh my God! Why did I just say that? That's terrible. Derek Smith. Jesus, what the hell? I am a horrible person. And if you didn't get that, you should be.
You should be
Life
happy.
is wonderful, yes.
Life is grand.
I just picked 2 random names to put together, and man, where's my mind? Okay, but anyway, the people you unlock are just like random dudes and dudettes, and I have no idea who these people are. It's like, you've unlocked Jenny Brown, and I'm like, great, who's she? Are these actual known characters in the Lego universe? I mean, people who are, really into Lego and buy all the figurines and sets and stuff, would they like, Susie Brown, I love that figurine. That's awesome. I have no idea.
I don't think the city and town Lego sets have named characters. It's just you get 2 policeman characters, a burglar character, and 2 civilians. That's pretty much it. It's like even like the minifigures. Where the little mystery bag minifigures that you pay $4 for and you get a surprise one. Even those they're not specifically named. Unless it's like something like the Statue of Liberty or Neptune or something like that. But generally, it's just you get a pizza chef, you get a mafia dude, stuff like that. It's more occupation than it is specific characters. So they're probably just giving names, and that is kind of interesting. That usually when you're playing a Lego game, you're trying to collect all the characters from a specific universe. You're playing Lego Batman, and you're trying to get all the villains and all the heroes and mostly villains. But you're trying to get all of that stuff, and so you're trying to get the Joker, you're trying to get the Riddler and Poison Ivy and all that. Same with Lego Star Wars, and then later on they're coming out with Lego Marvel Universe, and so those have specific characters that people know and love. But here, this is the first Lego game where it's just been a generic Lego universe, and so yeah, I guess they didn't want to do it as occupation. It's like, I'm sure Jenny Brown has some kind of occupation that makes her a unique character, but it's just, you don't want to say you just got news reporter, or something like that.
Yeah. Although there are some occupations, like you'll have you have unlocked surgeon, and it's some woman in scrubs and a mask, that cloth mask that goes over your nose and mouth so you don't sneeze on an open heart surgery site. And I mean, so you do have some occupations, but a lot of this, you're unlocking a ton of civilian characters, all who have names, and you're like, oh yeah, Philip Jenkins, of course. Who's that? Should I know Philip? But Okay, 20 minutes into the show, let's start the show. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will discuss this week's poll, which, wow, totally ended up a hell of a lot different than I thought it would. So we'll talk about that when we come back. Hang on. And we're back. Yeah, you didn't miss much. We actually kind of started talking about the poll, and then we're like, you know what, we should probably record this. You may want to hear this. Okay, so this week's poll, in honor of E3, otherwise known as Christmas in June, well, me at least, because I like E3.
I don't get to open anything, so it's not Christmas to me.
You open a browser and you let all the gaming goodness flow in.
But I don't get any video games. It makes me sad.
Well, that's true. Unless you work in the industry and the companies keep sending you all of their crap video games. Thanks, EA. I really like Boogie.
I would love my blog to be popular enough for game companies just send me stuff, but that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, well, to be clear, no one's sending me a damn thing. I think I mentioned this on another show, but some of the freebies I obtained were hand-me-downs from Dennis McCauley because he didn't want them. I got a lot of crap from him and I mean literal, crap. Most of it's. I have a few, T-shirts and other weird swag. He's like, "You want any of this stuff?" And it's like, send it my way. I'll pick and choose what I want.
There was one Christmas where he sent me like a dozen or so video games for the GameCube and the Wii. So that...
yeah. So okay. So I asked, which company's E3 press event are you most looking forward to? And I listed the companies that are doing an E3 press event: Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, Sony, and Nintendo. And I guess you could say I'm kind of fudging Nintendo, which is why I used press event instead of press conference. Because, as you may or may not know, Nintendo's actually not doing a press conference this year. Instead, it is doing a Nintendo Direct. It's an online streaming video presentation. So it should be essentially from our perspective, from the perspective of those of us who are just sitting at home or at work, shame on you, watching this stuff, you're still getting a video feed of Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, whoever's presentation. So it shouldn't really make much difference to you. Will it make difference to the industry at large? Well, I don't know. Will ABC and the Today Show and Reuters and NPR, will they actually bother to watch Nintendo's Nintendo Direct, or will they just go to Sony and Microsoft's conference and call it a day? Hard to say. We'll have to see. But I put up the poll: Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, Sony, and Nintendo, and I got a lot of you asking me to put up a additional option for essentially I don't care, which I briefly considered when I wrote the poll, but I thought, we don't need it. I mean, this is game politics. I would imagine that the majority of people who read game politics have at least some passing interest in video games, and as such, I find it hard to believe that you're not at least a little intrigued by one of these. And but no. Nope. 20% of you who voted are equally apathetic about every single company doing a major press event. I am aghast. I am befuddled. That stuns the hell out of me. I never would have guessed that so many of you just honestly don't care what Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, Sony, or Nintendo are presenting at E3 this year. I think some of you may have mistaken what the question was. I think some of you were thinking I was asking which companies' products or general presentations that have a presence at the show are you most looking forward to? No, I was literally asking which company's press conference, the big gather everyone in the theater and hawk their wares type of press event. And I included Nintendo because I'm me. That's what I was asking about. And 20% of you, 79 out of a total 389 votes, say they're equally apathetic about Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, Sony, and Nintendo. Just honestly don't care.
Yeah, well, based on some of the comments that people left when they were requesting that is, generally these are PC gamers, and none of those companies are really, PC developers or PC companies. They EA and Ubisoft, they make PC games, but generally they're console ports, and so people don't really consider them PC developers. So if Valve or Blizzard had a press event at E3, maybe they would have been excited about that.
Well, I mean, come on, Blizzard is. I'm sure Blizzard will be on Sony and Microsoft's event, going, Diablo 3 is coming to the consoles. Woot!
Is it not already out on consoles? I thought it was already out.
Wait a minute, or the PS4 and the Xbox One, because I think that was one of the big whoop-de-fizzes of Sony's PS4 reveal. I think Blizzard came out and they're like, yeah, Diablo 3! It's like, oh, good, a game that's a year old now and will be 2 years old when it launches. Okay.
Yeah.
Will the auction house be online by then? Anyway, so let's go through. We had 389 people vote this week. 14% said Microsoft. 2% said EA. 7 people. 4% said Ubisoft. 35%, and garnering the most votes, 137 votes, was Sony. And then 96 votes, 25% Nintendo. And, of course, 20% I'm equally apathetic about all of them. Which still just astounds me. That would be like if I polled my my barbershop choruses, the Westminster Chorus and the Pacific Coast Harmony Chorus, and I said, okay, which quartet are you most excited to see at international competition in Toronto this year? I would be stunned if 20% of them came to me and said, I don't give a flying falafel about any of the quartets competing at international in Toronto this year.
What if you rephrase the question, or what if the quartets showing up there was the Backstreet Boys, Boys to Men, New Kids on the Block, and NSYNC? What do you think the response would have been then? It's just a matter of are the people you're interested in showing up there? So yeah, it is surprising that a lot of people in the a lot of gamers aren't really excited about it, but it kind of makes sense, depending on what their tastes and preferences are in video games. And if they're not console gamers, then console game companies aren't all that interesting.
But I mean, man, even if and I just want to make it clear, if you're not interested in E3, if the conferences hold no appeal to you, I don't think less of you. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying, oh, you people are stupid and have no taste. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just really taken aback. I thought this was more popular. But, even people who are like, E3, whatever, I've got a carpet to vacuum, who has time? I would think that at least one of the 5 options there would be like, I don't care about E3, but, I'm kind of curious to see if Microsoft does anything to dig itself out of the hole. And that would have been a vote to Microsoft. So, yeah. But Sony wins.
I voted.
Actually.
Yeah, personally, I voted for Nintendo, but I was kind of thinking Sony too, because Sony still has an opportunity to come out ahead of Microsoft. They both have already announced their consoles. And Microsoft dug itself in a hole a couple of weeks ago, and so Sony has an opportunity to come storming out of the gate at E3 and saying, hey, all that stuff that Microsoft screwed up 2 weeks ago, we're not doing that. And that would, get people excited, and I voted Nintendo because, I'm very interested in getting a Wii U and would like to see what kind of game announcements they have going on, and plus they're doing something different. They've got the whole Best Buy thing where you can actually go and try out some of these games, and then they're kind of avoiding the whole spectacle that is E3, and I applaud them for that, because it's mostly a spectacle nowadays, and it's kind of it kind of loses its savor after a while. But yeah.
You know what's going to be really nice about Nintendo's E3 Nintendo Direct video, in comparison to Microsoft, Sony, Ubisoft, EA's conferences, is there won't be any of that completely artificial, disingenuous applause. It'll just be the content and the games. I'm sure it's going to be goofy. I'm sure it might even be slightly painfully lame in places, but hopefully they don't have like a laugh track or an applause track. Oh God! But that's going to be really nice. It's like, and now Wind Waker HD. If this was a conference, you'd have wah, clappity, clappity, clappity. Oh, the tears, they flow from my tear ducts. No, it's just going to be Wind Waker HD. Here it is. Mario, here it is. Something new. Please, Nintendo, something new. Here it is. In fact, let's go through each one and say, what are you most looking forward to from each company? Microsoft, probably, I'm going to guess it's the same with you. I'm really looking forward to see if they do anything to dig themselves out of a hole or just dig it deeper. Yeah.
I definitely looking to see them clarify a lot of the conjecture and rumors and misspoken disagreements between PR reps, all that stuff they've had over the last couple of weeks. They definitely need to come out and say, this is what we're doing with used games. This is exactly how it works, and this is the final word on it. This is what we're doing with Always Online. This is how it works, and this is the final word on it. I want to see that from them. Whether we'll get it or not, that's another story.
Yeah, this is the Kinect camera. This is how whether it can be turned off or not, and here's why and how it benefits you as a gamer. Yeah, absolutely. EA.
I don't care one way or the other about EA. There's nothing they've done that really excites me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're removing online-only requirements from SimCity in Update 5. 5 updates, and we finally fixed what the actual problem is. That would be cool.
Yeah, I guess that would be
something less evil. I don't know. Our 5-step plan to not winning the worst company in the world award next year. Maybe something along those lines. And also for Microsoft, maybe a slightly different shade of green, because I don't know how green got to be Xbox's flagship color, but
yeah,
it's starting to grate on my brain. But anyway, so all right, Ubisoft.
Something that leads me to end my multi-year boycott of Ubisoft products. Hopefully they announce that they're completely ending DRM schemes on PC games. I think they've actually been doing pretty good lately. Scaling back their DRM, but it hasn't gone away completely yet. But yeah, I'm looking for something that something exciting that will make me actually want to buy one of their games despite my boycott. Maybe Beyond Good and Evil 2.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's all I want. That's all I've wanted for 5 years. How long when they did that trailer part 1, The Pig or whatever? I think that was 2008.
I know, it's been a long time.
And there was never a trailer part the second.
Yeah, they had that one trailer and then nothing. Nothing since then. No word, no teasers, nothing. It's just like, what are you waiting for? Just do it.
Yeah, seriously, and bundle the first game in with an HD re-release in with the new game so people can actually play it, because not enough people did. Beyond Good and Evil 2, yes, that's what I want. Okay, Sony.
I want to just see what the PS4 looks like, really, and then just find out what their response is to all of Microsoft's foibles over the last couple of weeks.
Yes, how many vents does the PS4 have in comparison to the Xbox One?
Yeah.
Because
like
half of the Xbox One's surface is a vent. Because the left and right sides are vents, and half of the top is a vent.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the back of it yet, but I would imagine there's probably some big fan vent in the back too.
When a couple weeks ago when Sony released their PS4 look teaser video, and a Reddit user pieced it all together and tried to make what he thought the design was going to be like, and I said it looked just like a laptop. And then last week, I can't remember what I was watching, but I watched something, and somebody was using a laptop that looked almost exactly like that guy's design for the PS4. I'm like, is that really? Are they really making a laptop for a PS4? That'd be kind of cool, actually, but still, that's what it reminded me of. So hopefully it doesn't look like a laptop, and hopefully they get rid of that whole curved top, because that sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, just from a standpoint of stacking something on top of it, Microsoft's the Xbox One's flat enough, but since half the top is a vent, I wouldn't recommend putting anything on top.
What surface on the Xbox One is not a vent? I'm sure there's vents on the bottom of it too.
The front, yeah, it's got little feet for the vents lining the bottom. But the front panel and the top left half is not a vent.
Yeah, kind of makes you wonder how many heat sinks you'd have to remove if you opened it up to repair something.
Man, I'm wondering how from what I've heard, it's very quiet. But I'm wondering how much heat this thing throws. I was joking on possibly the last podcast that your household pets will catch fire walking past this thing.
You could heat your house in the wintertime.
You could make some banana egg pancakes on this thing. It would leak into the vent, but you could probably do it. I'm sure it would smell lovely. Sony, I'm actually most curious to see if they capitalize on any of Microsoft's foibles. Sony actually may have a lot of the same, but it's been a hell of a lot better with its press relations. It hasn't become a big controversy. There's not a lot of things on the video game section of I Can Has Cheeseburger aren't making fun of Sony so much as it is Microsoft.
Yeah.
I guess something else I'm looking forward to from Microsoft is games.
Oh yes. They showed off almost no games whatsoever.
Yeah.
Before,
and
so,
I mean, if you've got a dog in a game, great. I think that's very video gamey and cool. But tell me how it's going to be used.
Yeah.
Can I use Kinect to verbally praise and berate my dog, and will he react accordingly? I mean, are we using Kinect to tell him to go fetch or kill? Or as Phyllis Schlafly, you know what I'm talking about? The Eagle Forum gal. She had a quote years ago where it's like, these games where you can, decapitate enemies and have your dog retrieve their severed heads. I'm like, well, now you might actually here's a game where you may actually be able to do something like that. I wrote her and I said, what game are you talking about? Never heard from her.
Yeah.
Fancy that. So, yeah, Sony, I want to see if they actually start thumbing their nose at Microsoft and saying, well, we don't restrict used games, and our console, you don't have to connect it to the internet if you don't want to. We would like you to, because there's a lot of awesome features that are enabled if you do, but, if you don't want to, you don't have to. If you get your PS4 Christmas morning, plug it into the wall, plug it into the TV, stick in a game, and you can go and play. Unlike Microsoft, plug it into the wall, plug it into the TV, set up the Kinect, make a user account, put in all your credit card information, look up what your wireless key is, and then try and use the virtual Minority Report keyboard type thing to type in the WEP code, and then download an update, and then install the game off of the disc that you already bought, and 6 hours later you can play your game. It may actually be the day after Christmas at that point, but,
Yeah, but I'm sure both Sony and Microsoft's consoles will have day one updates that will have to be installed before you can play anyways. And I believe Sony said that you're going to be able to install these updates in the background this time around, which will be nice. All right.
Okay, so Nintendo...
games.
Games, and I have no doubt that they'll be talking about games, because that's
about all they have to talk about at this point.
Yeah, but really what I want to see, what I'm most hoping to see from Nintendo is a new IP. Something completely brand, and not something really friggin' lame that doesn't appeal to me like Wii Music.
Yeah.
I mean, something like, Pikmin. Back in, I guess it was announced in 2000, Pikmin just came out of nowhere, and Miyamoto's like, here's a new video game. It's unlike anything else you've ever seen on our consoles, new characters that are going to make great little plushy toys, and it's really cute, and it's really fun, and it's coming to the GameCube, and it's going to be awesome, and it was. And it was this brand new franchise, and it created wonderful new characters that you now associate with Nintendo and are even in the new Smash Brothers game.
Yeah.
And that was 2001. There hasn't been a whole hell of a lot of new Nintendo-developed IP in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I can't honestly think of anything. I think they've gone different directions with their IP. Like they did Super Mario Sunshine, which was a very different game from
absolutely.
all the
That's
other,
not to say that's not to say they don't innovate within their existing franchises, because they absolutely do.
Mm-hmm.
But still, I just really like to see something new, in addition to all the franchises I know and love, because I'm greedy. I want both, you see.
Yeah, but they definitely need games, though, because I went to GameStop yesterday, and I was just kind of browsing. I was lazy and wanted to get out of the house for a little bit, and I stopped in at GameStop, and their Wii U section was pathetic. It was... they typically have shelving sections on the wall that are about 4 feet wide, and usually they're floor to ceiling, but this Wii U section was only halfway to the ceiling, and it was only one section of shelving, and that was it. And I was looking at that, and I was like, man, that's kind of sad, really, to see the PSP section had more shelf space than the Wii U. It was rather sad, and I was just like, man, they really need to fix this up, and they better announce a lot of games, because if they're not filling up at least 2 sections of wall space with games by Christmas, then they're doing something wrong.
Yeah. My For Everything But Wii U list is now up to 76 titles.
Yeah.
I am really, something I'd like from E3 as a whole, I would really like to be able to take some titles off of that damned list.
Yeah, that would be a pleasant.
Yeah. I want to read, before we move on, I want to read one email from Rodney Wilson, who wrote us at superpackpodcast@gmail.com. He says, Xbox One is not what Microsoft is making it out to be. It's not as fast by any stretch of the imagination, and what about the latency between the cable box and the cable pole outside? That's an issue, plus going from cable box to Xbox isn't going to make it any better. Microsoft phasing out backwards compatibility is redundant and Down syndrome. Every sentence here, by the way, has an exclamation point. What about the millions of Xbox arcade games bought on Xbox Live? The way it sounds is that Xbox One owners will not be able to carry them over to the One. The only thing on your Xbox Live account that will follow is your gamer achievements and score. Other than that, it's peachy. The PS4 games look better than the PS3, but that is expected in the next-gen console. But if Sony follows Microsoft's lead on backwards compatibility and used games, I will keep my PS3 and Xbox 360 and will not upgrade until both systems drop to $199. Believe that. P.S. If I get any angrier, I will pull out my ColecoVision and play Mousetrap, Ladybug, and Adventure.
Nice.
You've got a ColecoVision? Awesome. I shouldn't tease. I mean, I have an Atari 2600 that I can hook up right quick, but yeah. Okay, so the passion, we love it. Okay, so, but then again, 20% of our voting readership are apathetic about the press conferences for E3,
Yeah.
but that's okay. All right, we're going to take a quick God, we're running low on time. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, what are we talking about? We're talking about DRM, good old games, and Take-Two. So, back in a moment. And we are back. I thought we were just going to end the show prematurely and you'd be sitting there waiting, listening to Dead Space. I'm wasting time, okay. Good Old Games, in an interview with Forbes, of all places, talked about DRM and how stupid it is. And they have a really great quote that EZK wants on a t-shirt. And they say, DRM solves piracy like a bag of concrete solves hunger. Which is totally true.
Exactly.
It doesn't. And unless the rock biter is really hungry, I think a bag of concrete might actually work in that regard. But
well, that's like this little Kool-Aid packet. He mixes up with some water and concrete and drinks that down.
Never-ending story, kids. Look it up. Good movie. Stay away from the sequels.
Oh, those aren't too bad. Not as good as the first, but...
Well, I think Jack Black is in the second one, playing a school bully, and it's just such a weird performance. Anyway. Good Old Game says, pirates remove the DRM from the games before they ever play them. The people who have to put up with DRM are the very people who shouldn't have to bother with it. Legitimate customers. Yes. Forever, yes. That is the exact problem. I was watching a movie on DVD last night, and the very first thing that happens when I start up my DVD disc is I get an FBI warning telling me not to pirate this disc.
And then you get that crappy ad that's like, you wouldn't steal a car, would you? Or something stupid like that.
And I'm looking at this and thinking, I'm not the person who needs to see this. I bought this DVD legitimately. You got my money. I own it. You know who doesn't have to see this damn thing? The people who pirated this movie. So that's very true. The only people who have to put up with DRM are legitimate customers, i.e. the people who shouldn't have to.
Yeah, and that's how it's always been, and it's one of those things that there's just some companies out there that don't understand that or refuse to understand it. It's just when EA released SimCity, with its always online stuff, it's like, do you really need it to play single player? Of course not, but we're going to do it anyways, and then we're not going to let you play the game because our servers are crap right now. It's like that only hurts legitimate customers, and so I'm trying to figure out how a bag of concrete might solve hunger. I guess you could fill somebody's stomach with concrete and then it won't pass through, and so they'll never be hungry again. But of course they'll die. But still, they won't be hungry until they're dead, and so yeah, I guess you've solved hunger that way. But DRM is exactly like that. It's you're just hurting people by doing it, and Good Old Games has always been against DRM, and they've had great quotes in the past too, but I think this is one of those quotable quotes where you're going to hear it said over and over again for many years to come, and until people start asking, what's DRM, because DRM is gone.
Well, son, back in my day, blah, blah, blah. It's like, wow, Dad, that was stupid. Yes, it was. So, in slightly related news, talking about all the Xbox One games, and perhaps taxing us for buying used games or selling games that we're done with. Take-Two, Strauss Zelnick, was talking about this stuff, and he says, our view about used games has been, as opposed to whining or figuring out ways to punish the consumer for buying used games, we've figured out we better delight the consumer. Let's push up our quality, which you've seen in our Metacritic scores, and then let's make sure to give people DLC, often free, 3 or 4 weeks out, which is the time you're at risk for them trading in their game. If you can keep the game in consumers' hands for 8 weeks, you almost don't care anymore about used game sales, because it's the first 8 weeks that really nail you. He goes on to say that there's no question that if Microsoft has figured out a way to tax used games, then we should get paid too. It's hard to imagine why they should and we shouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I'm pretty sure that Microsoft has plans for revenue share. It would be nice if the publishers and developers got more of the share of used game fees than Microsoft did. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure Microsoft will figure out some reason to claim that it needs 70% of the used game fee. But yeah, that might be negotiable. But talking about their their 8-week thing, when it comes to blockbuster video games, like Grand Theft Auto, what are they on, 5 now, or is it 6?
5 is coming out this fall.
Yeah, so games like that, where they release it, those are the type of games where, they make pretty much all their money in that first 8 weeks, the first 2 to 3 months. That's pretty much all the money they're ever going to make from the game anyways. And so it's, and so that's really that time period where publishers care about the used game market. But I like how Take-Two here approaches that, where it's like, first they make a quality game, and then second they make free DLC or paid DLC sometimes, I guess. But they don't release it day one. It's that day one DLC that people don't like because it makes them feel like content was removed from the retail game just to have day one DLC. And so once you play through a quality experience, you're like, oh, there's this new DLC coming out here. This is pretty cool. I'm gonna buy it. And so it does extend that life without feeling overly money grubbing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Zelnick's actually hit on the truth of the matter, and it's stop punishing customers for used sales.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of doing that, do something that encourages gamers to not resell the game. You want to do stuff that encourages, instead of preventing consumers from being able to resell their game, you want to make it so that they don't want to sell their game. You want to, and one way they do it is by making a really good game. It's like, well, I don't want to trade this game in. I love this game. I could
Mm-hmm.
totally see, in a year just saying, yeah, I want to go back to Grand Theft Auto 5 and do the crime thing or whatever you do in that game, or run over people, yeah. And also DLC. Now they have free DLC, which is like, yeah, I don't want to trade this in. There's going to be some really cool free stuff coming up pretty soon. That's awesome. I'll hang on to this and play that when it comes out. Or next fall they're going to have a paid DLC, but it's going to be this, like the Ballad of Gay Tony or the Cursed and the Damned, or
I have no idea.
Something like that. They had Grand Theft Auto 4 had 2 major DLC packs that were $20 each, but they were almost self-contained little mini games that kind of wove themselves into the Grand Theft Auto 4 narrative. But you didn't actually have to play Grand Theft Auto 4, and you didn't have to play these little bonus packs to get to understand either story. But they were great additions and really added value. And I imagine that a lot of people just hung on to Grand Theft Auto 4 for a long, long time, mm-hmm. because they knew this stuff is coming. And Take-Two and Rockstar have, I put the accent on the wrong syllable there. Rockstar have trained gamers to understand that you're probably going to want to hold on to this for a little while because cool stuff's a-coming.
Yeah. And that to me is the best way to approach the used game market, and it's not taxing game consumers, because if you're honestly, if you're making a game that people want to trade in 2 days after they bought it, you definitely did something wrong. Because that's what people, whenever people talk, complain about the used game market, they're like, well, GameStop sells used versions the day after release. I'm like, well, if people are returning the game the day after release, then you're the problem, not GameStop. It's like, you made the game that people don't want to hold on to more than a day, and so you need to do something. You need to do something different, and honestly, there's games that are like that. It's like, oh, I played this once and I really didn't enjoy it all that much, so let's get rid of it. And then there's other games that's like, man, I love this game. I'm gonna keep playing this, or I'm gonna hold on to it so that I can show my kids, or I can play it later on. And and a lot of games from the Super Nintendo generation are like that. A lot of games from the PS2 are like that. I still have games for my PS1 that I go back to and play every now and then, and it's just it's just one of those things. Some games are like that, some games aren't, but you just gotta the developers just need to figure out a way to make their games like that.
Yeah, I think it's Level 5 or someone who does the Professor Layton games. But one of the things that all 4 games have done so far is they provide a brand new puzzle every single week for like 6 months to a year post-release. So if you buy Professor Layton, you're going to have new content, a brand new little puzzle every single Sunday for like 36 to 50 weeks. So I would imagine that there not as many people resell Professor Layton, because they'll think, I'll hang on to this and I'll just pick it up again in 3 months. I'll have like a dozen new puzzles to play. Yeah. Really, we're armchair analysts and we're figuring this out. You all are professionals. Start doing it right, for crying out loud. Another thing that's probably worth mentioning on the subject is a Twitter hashtag. Well, 2 of them actually got really popular last week. Something like no DRM for PS4 and yes, used games for PS4. Something like that. Basically, people saying we want to be able to resell our games, and we don't want DRM. Sony, please listen to us, because Microsoft obviously isn't. And like a bunch of 5 or 6 different higher up PlayStation Sony employees said, we're listening to you. We're totally taking your thoughts and wants and desires to heart, and we don't have anything to announce at this time, but we will soon. So keep the faith, and brush your teeth and eat your vegetables. And I think that was very heartwarming to a lot of, and at least reassuring to a lot of Sony fans, going, yes, they haven't screwed us yet, and it looks like they may not want to screw us. So we have the warm and fuzzies. We have them. And then Major Nelson pops up on the Microsoft blog and he says, "We're listening too."
We're fully aware of what is going on. I am also working on a few things to address it. I can't say much more right now, but we are listening.
Yes.
Yes.
So let it be known that Microsoft is listening, and Kinect is watching. Well, that's not true, but Kinect is apparently always listening.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Let us. How much time do we have left? 3 minutes. Okay, we're going to take a break and decide what we want to do. So, back in a sec. Hang on. Okay, being that we're creeping up on the hour mark and our last show was about 2 hours and 20 minutes, we're going to end it here. I do want to say thank you for everyone who votes in the polls and listens to the shows, and we had a lot of participation in the live show last week, so I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you very much. We're planning on doing another live show the weekend following E3, and man, that's probably going to be a long one. Our E3 podcast from last year was like 3 hours long. I believe we edited it down, or well, James did it. We just dumped it all on James. So it'll probably be long. We currently use Google Plus, but if you have other ideas for how we might do a live show, other platforms we might use, or better ways to use Google Plus so that you guys can join in the show and chat with us and ask us questions and get our useless opinions on everything gaming and E3, send us email at superpackpodcast@gmail.com and let us know. We've got 2 weeks to organize this, so who knows what we'll get done. So, next weekend we will have just a regular audio podcast, I think. So look forward to that, and maybe we'll talk about the topic that we didn't have a chance to talk about this week. Until then, Zachary, plug away. Where can we follow you?
All right. Well, you can follow me on Twitter at EZKnight, and you can also check out the Oklahoma game development scene over at okgamedev.com. And if you're living in Oklahoma and you're interested in the game development industry, there's Goldfire Studios hosts some monthly meetups, and I usually try to post a quick announcement and a link to it before on my blog there. And also, when I actually do some game development stuff, you can follow that over at divinenightgaming.com.
Sweet. All right. My name's Andrew Eisen. EISEN is how the last name is spelled. Search it on YouTube and you will come to my channel and probably regret ever finding it. But I have lots of fun videos for you to watch, and I hope you enjoy them. You can also follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen. So, yeah, there you go. And you can even give me money. I have a way to donate to me. And some people have, and it is really weird, but I'm okay with that. So, okay, so as far as a podcast goes, you're listening to episode 54. Send us emails, superpackpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter at superpackpodcast. Subscribe and rate us on iTunes, and like us on Facebook. We're like 3 or 4 likes away from something cool happening. There's this little message on top of our page for admins that says, get like 3 more likes and you'll have access to all kinds of fun tools. And we like fun tools, so like our page so we can play with our new toys. Okay, we will be back next week with episode 55, and then episode 56 will be the live show, which we'll do our best to schedule a time for and give you plenty of notice so you can join in. And be sure to send us notes at superpackpodcast@gmail.com or the comment section of wherever you're listening to this show. And if you have any advice on how to do live shows, what platforms to use, things like that, please let us know, because we are rank amateurs at this. So, but hey, we try. So, have an excellent week, you all, and we will talk to you next time on Super Pack Podcast, episode 55. Take care.
See ya.